Hi guys, I'm back with another beginner chess game analysis video. It's been about a month since my last one. I am going to be looking over one of Elution's games. He's played mostly Bullet and Blitz over the past 3 months. In fact, it's been exactly 3 months since he's played a classical game. So that would be my first recommendation. Play more classical or rapid, because the longer time control, the more that you can learn and absorb. Bullet and Blitz, you're not really going to be improving playing those ratings. Lee Chess is currently having some issues when I tried to view past games. It's been down for like a couple hours now at least, but I managed to find this third-party kind of software or service that somebody has made to be able to look at past games. So I'm going to be using that now. Let's take a look at the game that he lost. It's usually more instructive. So this is from January. And the engine is off. Okay. Oh, this game is only 9 moves long, so let's forget that. Let's look at this one here. This isn't much longer. Okay, that's only 11 moves. Okay. Try this one. Okay, here we go. Longer game. Okay, so our hero here is black. So let's flip the board and let's get started here. Okay, I'm not an e5 player. I don't know too much theory on e5. So, okay, we've got... This used to be, when I was a kid, my favorite opening as a kid for white, the Gioco piano. I would usually go into the Fegatello attack or fried liver attack. That's the only reason I even kind of played chess, was to play that opening. Okay, everything looks good here. Ooh, okay. Interesting. Move by white. I would probably just ignore that for now. And I'd probably castle or play d6. Or possibly knight. Well, I guess... Yeah, well, I guess we can't do that because there's technically a fork there. It's kind of confusing. I was thinking knight h5 as a possibility, but I think knight a5, but I think b4. Well, I'm not sure about b4 because then we just take the knight, and then we're up a pawn. So I'm not sure if this might still work for black. Knight a5. Yeah, I think it still works for black. I think it still works. Because if knight a5, yeah, if forked, we take here. If he takes here, we can just move the knight back, and then white has this double pawn. But then we can lose a pawn here, so maybe it doesn't work for that reason. Yeah, I mean, if we keep the trades going. Oh, he would have triple pawns if he did that. So if he took here and then this, oh, black is, yeah, so it gets kind of complicated here, but so this could be pushed or this could be pushed, but I'm curious what Stockfish says about knight a5. Let's take a look. It says b4. Yeah, it says this is better for white. Yeah, it doesn't like taking this away, but it's there's a lot to calculate here. It says it's better for... Okay, so that doesn't work. I was just... it was an interesting move. I was curious about it. Just a simple ignoring it for now and just d6 or castling. Yeah, those are the best moves. It also says... It says knight takes d5 is fine too, but I would personally ignore it. Okay. So this is another way you could have gone. Let me turn off the engine. Yeah, but all those moves are fine. So you could take, but it gets a little bit messy. There's kind of more to consider. I would just play a little bit more straightforward and castle or d6. I would probably castle here first, but okay. Let's see what you played. So you took, so it's fine, but it gets messy. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot to consider when taking. So you drop a pawn here. That's one of the things you needed to consider. But then queen e7 is interesting. Oh, see, I'm thinking queen e7 is interesting, but he's got queen e2. But yeah, so we're down a pawn here. So if you had taken, by taking the knight, you should have calculated every possibility. Stockfish is recommending knight d4 here. And then maybe queen e7? No? Yeah, no, it's saying just castling here. So I don't know, it's kind of odd. We're down a pawn, but it says, Stockfish says it's an equal position somehow. Okay, let me... But that's why I wouldn't have taken the knight myself. I think if this was a tournament game, like over the board tournament game, I would have spent eons trying to calculate every possibility here, and I would have wasted like 20 minutes on the clock. So I would have just played more simply. So black is down a pawn here. I don't like queen f6. I would just castle here probably. Keep it simple. Queen f6, I just think it's kind of a hope chess move. You're hoping that black won't see this mate threat. You have to you always have to assume that your opponent will play the best move available. Even if your opponent is like 5 years old and only has been playing for 2 days, you need to you always have to assume that your opponent will play the best move no matter what. Okay? So because of that, queen f6 is really... I feel too slow, and it's not really, like this bishop is not developed. You're not castling, because white can just simply castle here. Sorry, I guess not castle because the knight is hanging, but white could simply move the knight back, and you can't even pin the knight because you haven't developed it. So that's why development is important. In fact, this actually helps white because queen f6. And knight f3, the knight is getting out of this possible being pinned, and it's kind of going back to consolidate his forces. So yeah, I really don't like queen f6. It actually helps white. Let's take a look at what Stockfish says. Yeah, it agrees. So the evaluation, as you can see, jumps from about 0.9 to 1.5. So it's about a 60 centipon mistake there. Yeah, and it is just recommending simply castling. So that's really kind of a hope chess move. You're hoping that there's a mate, and if you just calculate 2 moves ahead after queen f6, you could see that the knight can simply move back, and black hasn't achieved anything there. In fact, it's only achieved improving white's position because the knight is out of danger here of being pinned. Okay, so moving on. Well, he goes this way. That's weird. I never would have considered knight d3. Very strange. Okay. I don't mind. Well, I guess he's attacking the bishop, right? That's a weird move. That's a really weird move. But that's interesting. It's an interesting move the more you look at it. Knight d3. Well, I'm looking at maybe queen d7. Queen d7 check. It looks like white's... Yeah, because what will white play there? White's going to have to move his king now. After queen d7 check. That looks like the best move here. I mean, white could move his king here. If he blocks the queen, if we take, he has to move his king. If he blocks with the bishop, we just take it and we're up a pawn. and he'll have to move his king. So queen d7 has to be the best move. Let's see what Stockfish says. Oh, sorry, e7. Yeah. So yeah, it likes queen e7. Yeah. It's also saying b6, which seems weird to me. But I just like queen e7, nice and simple. Ooh, yeah. So I don't like d6 because you're giving yourself double pawns. You're giving white like almost a passed pawn here. You're losing a center pawn, and you're losing a bishop for a knight. So many reasons why this is not a good move. So, you know, this, I don't like this. I think white is so much better here. Yeah, so I would have just liked this queen e7 check. Looking at the clock, I think you're playing a bit too quick here. You have 14 minutes and 53 seconds. So you basically haven't used any time. There is increment, so that is to be considered, but it doesn't matter. You basically have the same amount of time that you started with, and it's move 10. And on this move, it looks like you only thought for like 5 seconds or so, not very long. So you need to really spend a lot more time on your moves and use your time. There's a lot to consider. There's a lot to consider more than just, okay, I can defend the bishop and then I can take. There's a lot to consider. You kind of heard me go over a lot of that in my head. So I like queen e7 there better. So he beats you to the punch now, since you didn't play queen e7, and now your king is going to be the one that's moving and not going to be able to castle as such. So if I had to guess this evaluation, I mean, it's equal. Are we down a pawn? I guess we're down a pawn too. So we're down a pawn. We have double pawns, and our king is on our second rank. I don't know. It's probably like plus 2.5, possibly 3. That's my guess. Let's see what Stockfish says. Well, it's actually not. It's only plus 1 apparently. I'm a little surprised at that. I'm actually quite surprised at that. It looks like maybe bishop f5, and then the only way for him to defend it is to go here, and we can take back a pawn. I think that's the idea. But it is better for white. But I thought it would be a little bit higher. Okay. So rook d8. I don't like that. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice idea of not, trying to stop this pawn from advancing, but at the same token, these pieces aren't developed. This rook isn't really ever going to do anything here. Maybe if you try to undermine his other pawn, but I mean, it doesn't really do anything. Instead, I would have just simple development. Yeah, so I think bishop f5 would be best. We're attacking a pawn. He can't do anything but move it. I guess that's not true. He could actually go check and then go here. I guess he could do that if needed. Something like this, and then here. But even so, then you've developed your bishop, and you're going to get your rook out. Your king is blockading his pawn. I think that's all good for, like, good improvement for black. So bishop f5 would be my move here. If for some reason we couldn't play bishop f5, well, bishop f5 has to be the best. Like, it's got to be a good move. Connects your rooks, gets your bishop out. Let's see what Stockfish says. Yeah, bishop f5 or rook e8. Same idea. I don't quite like rook 8, I mean, as much because it's a little scary because we don't have the other rook defending it. I mean, we're okay right now because the king is adjacent to it. But yeah, so bishop f5 would have been best here. Yeah, again, you got to get these pieces out. I'm not quite sure why f6 was played. Maybe he wanted to get his king right here, so after check he could slide his king over, something like that. But this is even just being attacked right immediately, so I don't understand that. Yeah, so there's a pawn hanging here. So really there's only two moves available. It would be pushing or defending with the rook, which I would probably push here then. I guess we could move the king too, but I don't like that. I'd probably push here, I think. But this is looking pretty ugly. But I would push, and then, you know, because the alternatives aren't looking good. If we move the rook here, these pieces aren't coming out for a long time. Stockfish says, oh yeah, I guess bishop f5 would be an option too. So it's saying bishop f5, counter-attacking his pawn. So he takes, you take. I guess that's an option as well. Okay. Anyways, I don't understand f6. 16 minutes on the clock. So you're moving too quick. That's also partly why blitz and bullet is not good. You're not using your time at all. You're playing like a bullet game. White's playing pretty well, actually. Yeah, so all of these moves, this rook is never moving. So you have to develop your pieces. This rook on a8 is never moving. Black's making a lot of pawn moves here, but why not like challenge the rook? Simplify. Yeah, so a piece is dropped. Yeah, and still both players playing lightning speed here. So I mean, overall, both sides played pretty well for the rating. But so my overall advice here: first of all, play more classical and rapid. Play less blitz and bullet. Use your clock more. You basically you ended up 1 minute and 40 seconds more than you started with after 38 moves, which is ridiculous. And what was what else? It's just this queen f6 move is kind of a hope chess move. Again, oh yeah, the other piece of advice I had was always assume your opponent will play the best move available. Give them full credit. So another way to think of it is, and sometimes I think like this too, is like if you pretend that like next move your opponent will be played by Magnus Carlsen, or the computer gets to make the next best move for your opponent, would you still make that move? So you always have to pretend that your opponent played the best move. So this is really a hope chess move that you're going to get like a checkmate next move. This too, I really didn't like d6 here. Yeah, and yeah, I think you just moved too fast here, because I think if you had played queen e7, that would have been a lot better. So just slow down. But otherwise, I mean, because there were just a few little mistakes here and there near the end here. A bunch, like some pieces were dropped and so forth. So just slow down, and hopefully those tips help you. If anyone is interested in me analyzing their game, just send me a message on Lichess or YouTube or wherever you can, and I will very most likely review it. So just if you want me to do a particular game, you can send me a link to that, or else I'll just choose one on your profile. Okay, thank you.